When it comes to cosmic powerhouses in the world of comics, few can rival the immense might of Lady Death and Dr. Manhattan. These two characters are vastly different in origin, abilities, and motivations, yet both operate on an entirely different scale compared to traditional superheroes and villains. Lady Death embodies the supernatural force of destruction, ruling over the underworld with an iron fist. Dr. Manhattan, on the other hand, is a product of science, an omniscient entity who perceives time non-linearly and wields unimaginable control over reality itself. But if these two were to clash in an all-out battle, who would ultimately emerge victorious? To answer this, we must explore the depth of their powers, the extent of their weaknesses, and the possible scenarios in which this titanic battle could unfold. This is not just a battle of brute force. It is a collision of two different aspects of existence: magic versus quantum omnipotence, destruction versus detachment, chaos versus order. Understanding their nature is the key to determining who would win this ultimate showdown. Origins of power. From hell to quantum godhood. Lady Death's story begins in medieval Sweden, where she was once known as Hope, the daughter of a nobleman named Matthias. However, her life took a tragic turn when her father revealed himself to be a demonic warlord. Accused of witchcraft and sentenced to execution, Hope made a desperate bargain with dark forces to escape death. In doing so, she sacrificed her humanity and was reborn as Lady Death, a supernatural warrior fueled by vengeance and darkness. Over time, she rose to become the ruler of the underworld, an entity feared by demons, gods, and celestial beings alike. Her transformation granted her immortality, reality-warping abilities, and vast necromantic magic that allowed her to summon undead armies and wield devastating supernatural energy. Dr. Manhattan, on the other hand, is a being born not from mystical forces, but from the very fabric of science. Once a brilliant physicist named John Osterman, his life changed forever after a freak accident during an intrinsic field experiment. Disintegrated at the atomic level, he should have died, but instead he reconstructed himself molecule by molecule, returning as a godlike entity with limitless control over reality. Unlike Lady Death, who thrives on war and destruction, Dr. Manhattan perceives time in a way no other being does. To him, past, present, and future exist simultaneously. He is not merely powerful, he is a being of pure energy, capable of manipulating time, matter, and space at will. The key distinction between them is clear. Lady Death is a product of supernatural vengeance, while Dr. Manhattan is the result of scientific transcendence. Abilities and power levels. Sorcery versus quantum mastery. Lady Death possesses an extraordinary range of abilities that make her one of the most formidable beings in the cosmos. Her immortality ensures she cannot be killed by conventional means, and her regenerative abilities allow her to recover from nearly any wound. She wields immense superhuman strength, capable of battling celestial beings and gods without faltering. Her necromantic magic grants her the power to summon entire armies of the dead, while her mastery of hellfire allows her to unleash devastating mystical attacks that can incinerate both mortal and divine entities. Beyond this, she can manipulate reality itself, altering dimensions and reshaping existence to suit her needs. Her divine weapons, including the Death Scythe and Chaos Sword, are capable of cutting through nearly any material, making her a warrior feared even among cosmic forces. Dr. Manhattan, however, exists beyond conventional definitions of power. Unlike Lady Death, who still operates within the realm of life and death, Manhattan is a being that transcends physicality itself. His atomic manipulation allows him to control molecules at will, reshaping matter or disintegrating beings in an instant. His omniscience means he sees every moment in time simultaneously, making it impossible to surprise him. He is invulnerable to physical, magical, and even conceptual attacks, as his very existence is not bound by conventional reality. He can alter his size at will, growing to planetary proportions or shrinking to a subatomic level. His ability to travel through time and perceive all events at once makes him one of the most unstoppable entities in fiction. Unlike Lady Death, who thrives in combat, Dr. Manhattan's power lies in his ability to manipulate existence itself without needing to lift a finger. While both are immensely powerful, their fundamental difference lies in how they utilize their abilities. Lady Death wields her powers through aggression and battle, while Dr. Manhattan exists beyond conflict, able to erase opponents from reality without even engaging in combat. Weaknesses: the limits of infinite power. Despite her near invulnerability, Lady Death is not without weaknesses. Her reliance on supernatural forces means that if she is ever severed from mystical energy, she could be significantly weakened. While her immortality makes her difficult to destroy, she is still tied to the concept of death itself. Entities that exist beyond life and death, such as Dr. Manhattan, may not be affected by her abilities in the same way as traditional foes. Additionally, Lady Death retains fragments of her past human emotions, which can sometimes cloud her judgment or be exploited by an opponent with the right strategy. Dr. Manhattan, while appearing invincible, also has his own unique limitations. His perception of time, while powerful, makes him somewhat passive in nature. Because he sees all events at once, he often follows a predetermined course of action, making his decisions feel inevitable rather than strategic. Additionally, Tachyon interference can disrupt his ability to perceive the future, temporarily blinding his foresight. But perhaps his greatest weakness is his emotional detachment. Unlike Lady Death, who fights with passion and fury, Dr. Manhattan often chooses not to engage in battles at all. He does not seek conflict, and in many cases, he may simply choose to leave rather than fight. The contrast is stark. Lady Death has more exploitable weaknesses but is a ruthless combatant, while Dr. Manhattan has fewer weaknesses but lacks the will to engage in direct conflict unless absolutely necessary. The verdict: who wins? Now comes the ultimate question: who would win in a battle between Lady Death and Dr. Manhattan? If Lady Death were to strike first, she would unleash a relentless barrage of mystical attacks, summoning dark energy, hellfire, and using her divine weapons to try and cut Manhattan down. However, the fundamental problem remains: Dr. Manhattan is not a physical being in the traditional sense. Even if she were to obliterate his form, he would simply reconstruct himself instantly. His atomic manipulation grants him absolute control over his own existence, making any attempt to physically destroy him futile. Even if Lady Death's mystical powers could theoretically damage Manhattan, he could counter her effortlessly. With a mere thought, he could erase her from existence, cut off her connection to mystical energy, or trap her in a time loop where she could never escape. His omniscience ensures that he would see every attack coming before it even happens, and his ability to warp reality makes it nearly impossible for Lady Death to gain an upper hand. Even if she managed to launch a successful attack, it would be meaningless in the face of Manhattan's ability to rebuild himself instantaneously. Ultimately, this battle does not come down to who is the better warrior. It comes down to who holds the superior level of control over reality itself. Lady Death, as powerful as she is, still operates within the constructs of existence, whereas Dr. Manhattan transcends those constructs entirely. The moment he decides to erase her, disrupt her mystical energy, or simply remove her from time altogether, the battle is over. The final result is clear. Dr. Manhattan wins. The only real question is whether he would even care enough to fight in the first place. Check out my other videos for more epic character crossovers and battles. Thanks for watching, and stay happy and healthy.